Little by little, the results of the synodal assemblies of the different dioceses are becoming known. Some of the data that are known are very worrying. For example, that of the Diocese of Barcelona in Spain. There are conclusions, requests that are in full harmony with what the German Synod demands. Is that really what the practicing Catholics of Barcelona want? And if they don't get it, won't there be a feeling of frustration and of having been deceived? And if they do, will it be possible to maintain unity in the Church? But I think that's where the problem lies. Is there unity in the Church? Many are those who think that the schism is already a fact. Some even affirm that it is an irreversible fact. And it's not only the opinion of the minority conservative sector, but also those of the more liberal sector that are demanding reforms. For example, Magnus Stret, who is professor of fundamental theology at the faculty of the German Catholic University of Freiburg. He is one of the main promoters of the German Synod, one of its most relevant theoreticians, and these are his words. There is constant talk of an imminent schism similar to the one triggered by Martin Luther with his criticism of the Church in the 16th century. But critics should not worry that a schism will occur. The schism has existed for a long time. In many Catholic circles, the distance between the conscience of the faithful and the binding creed established by the magisterium of the Church is so pronounced that there is no longer anything to repair. The schism, for Professor Strait, is irreversible. It's a fact, and it's an irreversible fact. It's not because he's the one who says it that he is right as if it were the word of God. I think he's looking at his German reality where possibly this is so, but it seems to me that there is more church than the one in Germany, however rich and influential they may be. It doesn't seem to me that this is so in Africa, for example, and not only in Africa. But I have no doubt that what he says is true in a wide sector of the Church. When the German Synod was beginning, it was the Bishop of Essen, one of the most insistent German bishops, who requested that the reforms by the German Synod must be made, who said that if these reforms were not granted, the schism that would occur would be more extensive and more serious and even more important than that of Luther. I repeat, it's possible that he has a perception that is not global. It is possible that it is, as it happens in wars, that each one tries to intimidate the adversary, showing all his strength and all his power, showing even more than what he really has. But the schism exists. The schism, in fact, exists. Thank God it has not yet been formalized, and that is what we must try to avoid. The Pope has called not only a consistory to appoint 21 new cardinals, of which 16 are electors, but he has summoned all the cardinals of the world to Rome in August. At the end of August, this is in itself extraordinary. First, because it is the second time he summons them in more than 10 years of pontificate. He only summoned them the first time he appointed cardinals, when the normal thing was to gather all the cardinals for the purpose of appointing new cardinals that favored the cardinals to know each other. It is the second time that he does it, but he does it at the end of August. The weather in August in Rome is unbearable. And no matter how much the cardinals are protected by a shell of air conditioning, it doesn't seem to me the best time to bring them to the eternal city. There is something when the Pope does it, I repeat, the second time in his entire pontificate, when it would have been normal to do it many more times and to do it in this special, so rare, so uncomfortable time of the year. But in any case, it will be an opportunity for the Holy Father to listen to some cardinals who normally do not have access to him. For example, Cardinal Zen of Hong Kong. If the Chinese communists let him leave Hong Kong, he tried to meet with the Holy Father a few months ago and didn't succeed. He will now, if the communists let him leave, be in this consistory. And there will be others who can only make their opinion heard through the media because they do not have direct access to the Holy Father. I think of Cardinals Bell, Burke, others like Eich, the Dutch, or Erdo, the Hungarian. They will be able to speak. Of course, there will also be other cardinals there who think just the opposite of these. I am thinking of Cardinal Marx of Munich or Cupich of Chicago, to name but a few, or the new Cardinal Mac Elroy, who has just been appointed Bishop of San Diego in the United States. It will also be a wonderful opportunity, and that was one of the essential reasons why they all attended the consistories, where they were all together. A wonderful opportunity for the cardinals to get to know each other, because they don't know each other, especially those who come from places that are remote and that, well, perhaps in their environment, the neighbors of their country and the neighboring countries know them, but in general they are not known. The Cardinal of St. Lucia, an island in the Caribbean, and the Cardinal of Laos, for example, the Cardinal of Cape Verde, an island of the Atlantic Ocean in front of Africa, or the Cardinal of Tonga in the Pacific Ocean, or the Cardinal of Papua. Those are cardinals that nobody really knows what they think, how they see what is happening in the church. Besides, we must not forget that the Holy Father is 85 years old. At that time in August, he will have already passed more than half of his 85th birthday. He will be on his way to 86. It doesn't seem to me that he is in bad health. The knee problems are indeed serious, but it's not something so serious as to prevent him from governing the church, and it doesn't seem to me that his health in general is bad, taking into account that in July he will make 2 trips involved, and that in September he has announced another trip to Asia, which is also very far from Rome. But in any case, I think that this consistory may be the last chance to avoid the formal schism, because the schism in fact already exists and in some places is already irreversible. But it's important to avoid this formal schism because it's important to maintain unity in the church. We cannot maintain unity at the cost of sacrificing the truth. We cannot do it for a reason, because Christ is the truth, and we cannot, in order to maintain unity in the church, sacrifice the truth, because it would be to sacrifice Christ, to kill Christ, so that the work of Christ survives. But the work of Christ, which is the church, without Christ is absolutely nothing. Christ is everything in the church. He's the Alpha and the Omega. He's the beginning and the end. Without Christ, the church has no reason to exist, no purpose to exist. That is why we cannot sacrifice the truth that is Christ to maintain unity in the church. But at the same time, we have to do everything possible. Except sacrificing the truth, we have to do everything possible so that this unity is not broken. And among the things we have to do is to pray. Until next week, God willing.